The first section in hiring and training is going to be defining the ideal candidate. This is where you want to start to figure out who works for your business, who works for you. We all have different personalities as owners and bosses. We want people to work with us that actually work well with us. And so I'm going to show you a lot of the things that we do to define the ideal candidate. So you're knowing who you're looking before you're even looking. So that way you're not, learning the hard way by like hiring and being like, well, that doesn't fit, and then having to let them go. Right, let's work right now to actually define who that person is going to be for your business. And we're going to use my business as an example. So there's a lot of things you can teach in your business, and then there's a lot of things you can't teach. And so these are some things that you can teach, which you obviously, if you're in the filmmaking industry and you're hiring, the majority of the time, you're going to be looking for someone that's a strong filmmaker and has editing skills. But these are also things that we can teach. So I'm not super worried about that. I'm more worried about if they fit culturally, and they're reliable and they have integrity. And then these things we can teach. Another thing we look for, are they self-motivated? I don't want to micromanage anyone in my business. I want my employees to micromanage other people. And ideally they don't have to do that, and they can just manage the project. And then everyone in my business is self-motivated. I want to make sure that they're going to show up on time. They're going to deliver on time. They're going to stay late if needed to. All the things that, take self-motivation to actually do. We want to look for that. Integrity, huge for us. So high ethic standards and honesty in their work. That's going to reflect on everything in your business, and also when they're talking and working with your clients. They also have a commitment to representing Tyson Media or your business with professionalism and trustworthiness. And then they need to be able to adapt to situations. In this world, our entire careers are pretty much problem solving, and you're going to run into issues, whether that's editing, you're on set, whatever it is, and you need to be able to adapt to that situation and think of ideas to actually improve or change and be flexible. And when you do it, you don't just do it, but you do it with a positive attitude. That's something huge that we will look for. And then one thing is being able to handle feedback. In this industry, we are a feedback-driven industry. And if you can't handle feedback, if you can't separate yourself from your work and take feedback from your client, take feedback from your leadership, take feedback from your boss, then you won't build a business that will grow beyond yourself. So these are people, we look for these people that can actually handle feedback, because we're really fast. You need to be able to accept constructive criticism and remain open-minded. So separate yourself from the work. Obviously you want to do your best work, but when you're doing work for other people, yeah, you can go create videos for yourself and then there's no feedback involved, and maybe that's right for that person, but you want people that can work with the client, take feedback, and understand that it's the best for their business. And then honestly, you do that and they might find it doesn't work, and then you come back to what you did originally. And then it's just a collaborative back and forth. And then being reliable is probably one of the, all these are top things. I shouldn't keep saying that this is the best. All these are the best. They need to be able to deliver consistent, high quality work on time. In the creative world, it's very easy to be creative and take your time and polish things, and honestly take too much time. But in my business, in this world, we go fast, and we need to be able to be reliable. And that's going to build that trustworthy, and then build that long-term relationship. But then not just be reliable on your own and with a client, but also be reliable with your team. So if you give someone a project, they can rely on you or that person you're going to hire to execute, and not feel like they need to be babied or micromanaged to get it done. So step one, we're going to develop the ideal candidate profile. So this is where we're going to write out more of what we're looking for. So grab a notebook, document, and answer these questions in your business. And this is what these are kind of examples of things that we would use. So technical skills, what specific skills do they need for this position? I think that's obvious once you know what that is. If you need editors, they need to edit. Work ethic, what personal values are most important for success on your team? So what are these things that they need to actually have that's important for success? So some things to consider are punctuality, dedication, and resilience. Do they fit culturally? How would you describe the work environment at your company? So you want to make sure you have that figured out so that when you're hiring, they fit. List qualities a team member needs to thrive in your specific culture. Some things we look for are humor, creativity, calm under pressure, growth potential. What kind of personal and professional growth do you expect from your team members? Describe how they should approach challenges and opportunities for learning. So go ahead and write some of the things down that you would actually want in your business. So step 2, the red flags to avoid. These are things just to avoid, which is basically the opposite of everything we listed above. So resistance to feedback, someone that doesn't take feedback and they actually argue with you versus being humble and putting their ego aside and taking it. I've had employees like that, and my feedback isn't necessarily nice all the time. It's very to the point. It's fast. It's get this done. And if someone can't handle that and they actually start to fight back, I don't want to argue with that. It doesn't work. And I've had to get rid of people, unfortunately. They can't self-manage themselves. It's just not something for them. So questionable integrity, poor attitude towards collaboration. If you can't have someone that works with your team, one person can disrupt an entire culture. And if you have that one person and they're just basically a cloud, they're negative, they're a cloud that hovers over the entire business, and it can kill your culture. So you want to figure out who those people are quick, even before you hire them. So now we want to talk about attracting the right talent. So we're going to leverage our community. So ultimately you need to build a community, whether that's on social media or any other kind of like platform that you can network and build a community. These are people that are your friends, people you worked with at college, people that you've worked with at other businesses. You want to start building this community of relationships so that you can determine and pull in people when needed, and your business starts to grow. That's pretty much that's like where the majority of my hires have come from, are just people that I've known. And then when the right opportunity comes up, I grab them in. So that's up to you to build that. And then when you actually have the right people in your business, you want to talk to your team and say, hey, we're hiring for this position. Do any of you guys know somebody? Can you dive into your networks to help us find this person? And then network intentionally. When you're out and about and you're at anything, you're on a shoot, you're intentionally trying to meet people for the reason just to be a good person, but also you're intentional about who you're talking to. So if you find someone that is a good editor, a good filmmaker, a graphic designer, you're taking note of that. And when the opportunity comes up, you know who to reach out to. And then make sure you keep a list of those people too, because it's easy to forget. So now we're going to talk about, once you've found that person, we're going to talk about screening that person. So evaluate technical skills. We're going to go through each of the steps we've written out on the ideal candidate, and we're actually going to use those to assess them. So evaluate technical skills. So you're going to look at their portfolio. A lot of the times everything lives on Instagram these days. So you just look up their Instagram even before you meet them. That's a great way to figure out how good they are. Assess values and work ethic. So tell me about a time you received feedback you didn't agree with. How did you handle it? Can you describe a challenging project and how you managed it? Those first-hand questions will tell me so much about someone really fast. Cultural fit. Invite candidates to meet the team. So I'll actually invite candidates or people that I've met that are interested in filmmaking, and I'll just bring them onto a shoot and I'll introduce them to the team. And a lot of my team members will notice quickly if they're like a good hang or if they're a good fit, and pay attention to how they interact with others and respond to the pace of work. Are they stepping in and helping? Are they stepping in and helping too much? Are they stepping over boundaries? Are they too reserved? Just take note of these things as they're hanging out with you. One of the podcasts I did in the filmmaker's journey on our Tyson Media YouTube channel was with Jack Murgis. He said 3 things. He said, are they a good hang? I'm actually just going to show you what he said. It's one of the best things you can do when hiring and just work.
Man, I don't know who told me this, but it is true. They said when I'm working with someone, it's one of 3 things. Are they a good hang? Do they show up on time? And are they good at what they do? Are they qualified? If I can get at least 2 of those, you're in. If you're a good hang, you show up on time, I don't care if you don't know how to do it. Like, if you know how to do it and you're late, but like you're fun to be around, cool, let's do it. Within reason. I mean, you don't want to leave people waiting on set. I'm talking like 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late. You can't show anyone how good you are if you're not there. Nope. And that's a tough lesson to learn. But boy, if you can get 3, gold. But it is funny, that one of like knowing how to do the job has become like the least important, because if they're there, you probably know. And so obviously I'm going to turn that lens back to myself and realize I've already been hired because they saw something that I did and they liked. So that part is done. What's most important is that I show up and that I'm just a good hang.
Yeah.
I think if I'd known that 20 years sooner in my life expectancy would be double.
Words of wisdom from Jack. I love that. Make sure to go follow our Tyson Media Instagram. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't. And that's where we release those podcasts. But that's one of my favorite little snippets on Instagram. That really is the definition of hiring people, right? You want to make sure that they're just a good hang. And it really has gotten to the point where being able to do the thing is less important than being a good hang and reliable. That's something that before I even knew how to do the skills, is that I was always showing up on time, staying late, developing my skills, but it was more important that I was doing those two things, and I was also just a good hang. I was good to hang out with. And so if you're just starting out and you're looking for a job, those are just things to live by.